I love my Germans, my German people. Um, anyway, it's possible. I don't know. There's journeymen. As far as the ranks of Germanese, there's journeymen. There's Germains. Basically, there's this black group named Germains, whatever. There's a lot of people in Germany. Um, to Germany means to whatever. It means germination or whatever. It was also a green plant place basically. But I love Germany. Germany was like my home. They're like my peeps, my peoples, and I love them very much. And they were very good people, and they pledged their allegiance to me absolutely, which was actually quite a bit. They were really great people, like I say. Very loving, very caring, and just a bunch of people living together, basically living the life, as they say. Science, technology, all that good stuff, and they understood a lot of things, and I understood it with them, and I helped them out a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of things I knew about the universe that nobody knew, apparently. Things like how far light travels. Like I say, a light particle only travels 1 light year. In 1940 and 1930 or 19 whatever, they asked me all these questions like how far are the stars away? They wanted to go conquering the galaxy. But basically, light only travels 1 light year. That's it. No more. That's why it's called a light year. Because that's how far that particle is going to travel through space. One light year is how far a light particle will go in not in 1 year. They said that's how far it'll go in 1 year. No, that's how far it'll go, period. A light year. Or something like that. A light year is basically literally how far a light particle will go travel. Now, I don't know about the year part. That was the whole thing. A light year, and it might take a year. I don't know. I don't think it'll take a year to travel that far. Anyway, though, but that's how far it'll travel. Basically, is 1 light year. I don't know why. Why was it a light year? I don't know. Anyway, though, we did all these experiments and stuff. Like I said, I went to the end of light rays. Like we put a light source. And then I went as far as the light would go. And I think it took me a year to get there. Maybe I don't know. That's why I called it. It took me a year. It might to find out. But basically, a light year is. Basically, that's how far the light will travel, or whatever. Anyway, I don't really know. Anyway, you can't see something that's 4 light years away until you're within 1 light year. Anyway, something like that. Basically, yeah. Well, I knew a lot of things. I messed around a lot in space. Humans really hadn't messed around a lot, and the Germans could tell you anything and everything about space, basically. How far a light ray could travel, how far everything was. You could guesstimate basically how far. Well, like I say, there's lots of particles in space, and energy is energy, and even for a super light particle, eventually it runs out of energy. But in space, it takes a lot longer for it to run out of energy. There might be some. I think. Oh, that's a gravitational force. I don't know. It's really complicated. It's really, really complicated. It depends on outside factors. Like I tried to tell people that too. It's like, well, it depends. Light is just a particle. That's why in space, like light seems to bend, because when that particle was being emitted has actually changed. So the light source object is moving, but it seems to bend, but it's not actually bending. That's just this light ray was emitted from here, this light ray was emitted from here. The Germans explained it absolutely to everyone. You could just watch a show and watch everything about light, watching everything about anything. The Germans explained it absolutely scientifically and actually perfectly. Anyway, then somebody decided to jump up there in space and to mess around with my LSLS shells, and they were shooting at some points of light in the sky, going. Fortunately, they didn't understand that 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 solar system had actually changed, and a lot of solar system were looking down and watching. Notice these little light rays coming towards them. um, anyway, with the starlight shells, which were basically fusion reactors, so a bunch of suns went through space. They'd get bigger over time, basically, over millions of years, and maybe they would contact something or something like that. But basically, somebody put a big flag on the on the Earth, very much, when they were shooting these fusion shells into space. Pretty much, not me. I was. They were like, "Oh, you." Um, basically, I mean, they were my shells. I used them to start galaxies and stars and stuff like that because there is. I mean, by the time, well, I mean, everything's moving in space, basically. If you shoot something over here, you're not going to hit anything. It's just going to form into whatever matter. Anyway, and eventually you get stars and whatever. It's how I created galaxies, basically, was the starlight shells. You go, you pick an area of space that's basically empty, and you go, and it gets moving, and it forms, and it makes into something more and more and more. And if you have a ship, you can travel after it. Yee! And eventually it'll slow down enough or you'll catch up to it and basically you can get on it. Hey, cool. And there's a lot of things you can do in space. Space is a great place, basically. It's wonderful. Anyway, I mess around with it a lot. We mess around with it forever, basically. Like I said, that's like this planet, all these galaxies, these universes and stuff. And we did all kinds of stuff. But anyway, though, Zachary had no idea what the fuck he was doing, and nor did Bill Gates, nor did a lot of people. And they basically broke into pretty much an old warehouse or an old museum and found these starlight shells, and thought they would start playing around with them, and thought they were like a super weapon or something like that. And they weren't. I mean, on a planet, they basically just kill everything between it and the target. I guess on a planet, they're really deadly. Yeah, they're really dangerous, basically. I mean, you don't want to be anywhere near them when they go off or when you shoot them. They're for space, and they're for creating stars, basically. And in space, they're relatively harmless. It just basically, it's just more radiation. There's a lot of radiation in space anyway. Anyway, it gets all complicated, and you have to start thinking about particles and different particles and the decay of stuff. And Germany, fortunately, thought about everything beforehand. And actually had this great plan or whatever. My groups of people, my exoskeletons were basically hardened against radiation. They could deal with radiation all day. Their exoskeletons protected them just fine, and they protected me too. Anyway, ow. So anyway, and then in 1920 or 1930 or something, a bunch of people had no fucking clue what the fuck they were doing, and they just read on a box, Lsls. And didn't know what it was, and then decided to load it up inside of a cannon and fire it. And they killed all their friends. They didn't know what it was, and they just loaded it inside of a cannon in front of a crowd of people, I think, and they were going to show off this new shell or something like that they had. It was a demonstration, I believe, and they killed everyone in the stands. And somebody said, well, I guess we're going to need to get some new investors. Like I said, when you fire those shells, it starts the fusion reaction, and basically everything, it's called a starlight shell, and everything around it basically dies, pretty much. And then it does go through things, but basically they had a bunch of people that were going to see the new starlight shell or something like that, or the starlight shell. They were going to show them how it worked, a demonstration, to the bigwigs that would be buying this shell. So they loaded it inside the cannon and fired it and killed the whole audience. They killed everyone at the site that was there to see the shell. They killed the hot girls. They killed everyone very quickly. Was going blood coming out. They also put a hole in some steel and a brick wall. But all their investors, all the people there to see the shell basically died rather violently. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. The new Starlight shell. That was actually old.